Jada and I talk about everything, and we have never surprised one another with anything ever.
So what's good, homies? It's your man, Dr. BOA. You know, when I talk about Will Smith, it's not to diss the guy. It's not even to diss his woman. It's just the fact that he is the poster child for so many of the elements of engaging with a woman that I talk about. He is the opposite of what a man should do. He is the opposite of what a man should be. He is the opposite of how a man should engage with his woman. He is the opposite of the method a man should take to choose his woman, to pick the woman that he's going to make his wife. And recently, he has been coming to grips with the fact that he made a bad decision. He chose the wrong woman. And this recent clip that one of my homies off IG sent me recently, and this clip that one of the homies off IG sent me is more evidence that he has crossed over from accepting that he's made a bad decision to making excuses for it and trying to justify it, because the one thing he cannot do that any of us would do is leave this woman. Let's take a deep dive on this one. But first, let's elevate to a higher plane. Prepare for takeoff. Now, the reality of the scenario is this. When you realize that you have made a mistake in whatever facet of life it is, you have to immediately begin to make adjustments to overcome that mistake and then eventually correct that mistake. But when it's been over 30 years and you've been stuck in the same situation that you procured the wrong way, maintained the wrong way, sustained the wrong way, now you have to understand that it's time for you to make a move. But here's the problem with the majority of men. Once you're in a situation for a certain amount of time, it just becomes your normalcy. So no matter how abnormal it is, it becomes your normal. It can be as detrimental as anything you've ever experienced in your life, but that detriment is your normal. And then you begin to justify the acts of the people around you. Let's take a listen to this video, man, and we'll come back and chop it up on the real tip.
You both have talked very candidly. It's a very famous story, infidelity in the marriage and how you navigated that time.
There's never been infidelity in our marriage.
Never been infidelity in the marriage?
Never. Jada and I talk about everything, and we have never surprised one another with anything ever.
Now, what you hear is a guy who is admitting to himself and the world that nothing this woman has done, no matter how egregious it is, no matter how disrespectful it is, no matter how embarrassing it is anything that he is surprised by. See, when a man says, we talk about everything, that doesn't mean they talk about every single situation. That means that they are open and honest about who they are. So anything that woman does, Will is not surprised by it. Now, that doesn't mean it doesn't bother him. That means that he made the compromise and sacrifice, that he was going to keep that woman, accept her for who she is, accept the things that she does to him, accept the way those things make him feel, the way those things make him view himself, the negative effect that those things have on him, and keep that woman anyway. So when you see him on the red table talk with her and he's got these tears in his eyes, it's because it still hurts to know that not only does the woman do these things which you accept, she does them now and she doesn't even care how they affect you anymore. That's the problem with men in relationships like this. If you believe that a woman cares how her disrespect affects you, she doesn't. So what's the purpose in you compromising, accepting that type of disrespect just to have some brow, man? What woman have you ever met that's so valuable that you're going to take her disrespect? The type of disrespect we'll take from any woman. Man, a woman can't even disrespect me verbally. If she disrespect me verbally, it's over. Somebody may say,
VOA, you being petty, man. You sit right here, man. You're like a woman. Man, women make mistakes too, Dr. VOA. Let me tell you something. Boy, women are not perfect, Dr. VOA, but they are perfect to me. You remember that song? Nobody perfect, baby, but you're perfect for me. That's what I'm talking about.
man, let me tell you something, man. I don't want to hear nothing about all that. You got to keep in mind that the reality of the scenario is you as a man have to demand what you want from a woman. You have to demand what you accept. You have to demand what you expect. And if she doesn't measure up to that, you have the right to say, okay, you're not the woman for me. You don't have to try to work through something with a woman. You don't have to try to accept the woman for who she is if it's not what you want. See, here's the problem, man. Will is battling the ghost of Tupac Shakur. And when that woman said she got to a point where she just wanted to live the life she wanted to live, that means she wanted to be able to openly express the fact that she is in love with a dead man and not in love with her husband, Will. You see her get on these things on Pac's birthday and read these poems and cry. I'm talking about shed boo-hoo cry tears, man, crocodile tears. Why? Because she loves that man. That man took a piece of this woman's heart to the grave with him. And I can imagine how many different arguments and negative engagements Will has had with this woman about her affinity for Pac. The bottom line is there's nothing he can do about it. And the time for him to get out while he's ahead was a long time ago. Now I understand why he won't leave the woman. What he got to gain by leaving her? All the time he should have left her is already gone in his mind. So what's the purpose in leaving her now? You're about 50. What you gonna do? You got plenty of money, so it ain't about going to make more money. What is it about? And you've been so browbeaten because of this, the way this woman interacts with you in this situation that, you know, it really doesn't even bother you emotionally and mentally anymore. And now you've developed the mindset of justification for her actions.
There's never been any infidelity. Ever. We talk about everything. There is nothing that we do that surprises the other.
But the problem is, Will, you didn't want that relationship. She wanted that open relationship. So when you bow down to a woman's desires for how the relationship is going to be run, you pretty much give her control in the relationship. And if she has control in a relationship, she has control over you as a man. And I'm going to keep it a buck with you. There's absolutely no reason for a man to put himself in that situation, especially a made man, especially a successful man, especially a rich man, especially a famous man. But even the man who work around the corner and work for the city and be out there, man, trimming the hedges for the city. No man should accept the woman who doesn't fit into his life. And now you think about this. He admits that, you know, Pac had him going through a thing, man. He didn't like Pac. He hated the way his woman felt about Pac. He felt like she always desired Pac. He knew that the same way we know it. The same way she shows it. So just imagine being happy that a man died because you think that's going to make your woman stop fiending for that man. Stop fainting over that man. Stop lusting after that man. Stop desiring that man. But unbeknownst to Will, it made it worse because a piece of her heart is gone with that man. So whatever that man is, he has a piece of her heart. The only problem is she can't get no interaction from it. This woman is in a perpetual state of heartbrokenness. A perpetual state. She is broken. She can't be fixed. No matter how much money Will makes, no matter what life he gives her, no matter how many children he puts in her, it does not matter. She is broken beyond the point of repair. Emotionally and mentally, there is nothing that Will can get from this woman. But rather than leave, he has figured out a better way. He'll just act like everything that's taking place between them is normal. Everything she's done is just normal. There's nothing about it. This sounds like her talking through him. Well, you knew we were in an open relationship. You knew this and blah, blah, blah. And none of these things. See, the difference is it makes it different when the woman starts to talk about the things publicly. Before she talked about the entanglement, we didn't know anything about it. We didn't know the details of it. We had heard about it. But when she opened up about it, it let the world know what kind of beta male simp man Johnny Will is. And I think the biggest thing is Will knew that the life he was living was embarrassing to him. But as long as it was behind closed doors, he was just embarrassed to the man in the mirror and those closest around, family and friends. And I guarantee you, man, the way his kids interact with him, man, they probably lack respect for him. You see how they revere their mother? Because outside of the Hollywood studios, Will is a different person. You think about this. Back in the day, Will won a Grammy, but the rap portion of the Grammys wasn't shown on TV. So all the rappers boycotted the Grammys. Well, Will won the Grammy for Best Rap Album. He boycotted with everybody else. Now, that's a strong thing to do. But I can guarantee you Will only did that to prove to Jada that he's a stand-up guy too, that he's an activist, that he can stand up for the people, he's power for the people, he's got some Black Panther in him, just like Pac. Because when you look at all the accolades that Will has gotten since then, he loves those Hollywood accolades. He cherishes those things. They mean something to him. You think that Grammy didn't mean nothing to him? Yeah, it meant something to him. But he had to prove that he was less like Will Smith and more like Tupac Shakur. But see, here's the thing about it. When your woman is in love with a man, she don't want no knockoff version of that man. She don't want a bootleg version of that man. She want the real Pac, or she want no Pac at all. And that's the battle that this man has been in his entire professional career. This man has reached the epitome of his career and come down the other side. And he has been stuck with this same woman who has progressively gotten less feminine, more abrasive in her approach, less caring and considerate in her interaction with him, and just totally out of the loop of how the things she does plays to the public perception of Will Smith. And yes, some of us may not care about public perception. Many of you may not care about public perception. But when a Hollywood studio casts a film with Will Smith in it, public perception matters. In his career, public perception matters more than any other career. So I say this to y'all, man. Take this lesson from what you see Will Smith doing. Here's a man who is totally dissatisfied with his marriage. And he has been reduced to the point where he doesn't have the intestinal fortitude to leave the woman. So he has to believe the woman. He can't relieve himself of the pressures of this situation, of the detriment to his psyche of this situation. So he must hold on and figure out a way to hold on tight. And his thing is, nothing this woman does is a surprise to me. She never cheated on me because I knew I was wiping up a thot who didn't want me. She wanted Pac. Y'all comment down below and let me know what you think about this topic, man. I look forward to hearing what you men have to say. I'm out.
Alphas up, betas down, it's the motto. Simps claiming that they pimps, but they not though. Alphas up, betas down, it's the motto. Suckers claiming to be players, but they not though. Alphas up, betas down, it's the motto. Tricks acting like they max, but they not though. Alphas up, betas down, it's the motto. Betas claiming to be alpha, but they not though. Now I'm not gonna tell you, man, that you shouldn't value your woman at all. A woman does have value, but you can't overvalue her